Well, we get to find out right now, Valdez. We had some really entertaining series, including entertaining pick-and bans yesterday. Our first day on patch 9.5. We're live, as you can see in the top of the screen. It is match number 69, and the niceties extend to it being patch 9.5 with a couple of things to discuss. Specifically, global bans are going to be out there. Kale and Silas are globally banned. I don't think that's necessarily going to be a world thing, but it is an LCK thing for this match week number 8 of 10. And also zoom in to what's actually happening on the Rift, and you notice that Kalista going to be banned in the first round after 2 carry performances from Deft. Was Atlas bigging up Deft's Kalista, and it didn't work against SKT, but we saw it pay forward in the next series.
He got a chance to reprove himself for sure in that series, as he did pick up the 2 wins on the Kalista that you are mentioning. Jarvan nowadays, very popular in the jungle, even sometimes see it flex to the top lane. And Vladimir, as we saw yesterday, definitely something you want to take off the table here. Jin Air at least going to get that going for them.
I see the very early Lissandra from King Zone. LeBlanc available, and it's a favorite of Pawns, but unfortunately because of the matchup, seems like they're going to go for the safer setup champion and some more of that utility. Probably not going to help the DPM numbers on the Lissandra here for Pawn. Action on to Jin Air, the Zoe, the usual answer to a Lissandra. Banned away is going to be the Corki that's evolving as an answer more and more. My issue with Corki, as I kind of noted in the Griffin series earlier this week, you see the win rate, you pointed that one out about as 0-5. I think that's even more relevant when Jin Air are playing, specifically because Corki comps are much trickier to play. You have a very long lull in the early game where you have a champion that only does damage but doesn't have his damage items, so it's quite hard to play the macro around Corki comps. And then lack of frontline is the sort of thing that Pawn or Oscar, whoever's playing the Lissandra, can actually get in there and super punish. So I think for a team struggling to get wins, Corki makes life harder. I like seeing Jin Air on easy to execute comps.
They do pick up the Galio as well, just for a bit of protection. Galio sustaining his spot as one of the higher tier picks that doesn't quite get banned that often nowadays, as Lucian will also be locked in here for what you would assume would be Deft. We'll see if that does come to fruition here in what should be a Lucian Shen bot lane.
Sadly, that means that the newly buffed Rakan won't be played by Tucson in game number 1. He's actually coming off 3 games in a row of Rakan, so a bit surprising after the buffs. We saw our first buffed Rakan, and it looked pretty good, honestly, from Mata in SKT's last game yesterday. Zooming in on this draft, though, final pick of the first round, Aatrox jungle. Very reliable choice for Cuz. He's been picking a lot of this as a blind jungle pick. This could be Linderung's champion, could be Caesar's champion. We'll wait and see. It's going to be Aatrox first round here. So even after all the changes, Aatrox, pretty permanent part of picks and bans in Korea as late as week 8 of the season.
It's funny, you can't seem to get rid of him. That ult just has so much value in many different ways, and once you get to that late game, you get the good flash engage. All of a sudden, doesn't matter what nerfs he's eaten, if he can do that kind of play, he still will find value, and he's great at, sitting in the jungle and farming up as well.
He's also just good at turret diving, whether he's in the lane or in the jungle. The moment he hits level 6, the turret dive is pretty reliable. So I like Cuz not having access to it, because it's one of the few ways you can actually interact with a Corki, because usually he's ultra safe in that particular scenario. But it seems like they're going to go with the fact that Linderung is the career Aatrox player on the side of Jin Air. Not convinced it's going to be a jungle pick. Our King Zone DragonX, so the Nocturne ban will come out. Means that Cuz might be visiting Rek'Sai, as that has been a pick he's gone to before, and he has been preferring early spike junglers. Think of Cuz and I think Gragas, Zac, Rek'Sai, these sort of picks I think of. With him, double jungle ban sent out to Jin Air. When you see a Corki, you're expecting some more tanky members, because double 80 carry is usually enough damage on the side to scale into. So far, the tank jungle pool has taken one big hit. That's what Jin Air want to prefer here, and where they'll keep their counter pick focus. We think we're waiting for 80 carry, but also the jungle.
Saw a lot of Tristana bans yesterday, actually. Nobody seemingly wanting anybody to get that pick, as it can kind of push back and push the lane, as a Tristana does.
Hey!
Well, they're going to return to what works, right? You're going to go back onto the Yasuo, make the Gragas go into the jungle. Should mean that Rascal will be hopping onto the Lissandra top.
Well, that is something. They're the only team that have actually played Lissandra top this season, as far as I can remember. Since the Kesper Cup started, there's been very little Lissandra top, but Rascal's been one of the few that's been preferring it. Kingzone are going down the route that didn't work for KT Rolster yesterday, but did work, like you mentioned, for Kingzone. Let's see if they can just do more than just roll up to mid lane every time Flash or Cask is available on the Gragas. Definitely have that synergy, but it lasts the whole game. It's not actually time limited, as KT seemed to suggest. Jin does reinforce their early game by going for a Xin Zhao, but both these AD carries are going to take a lot of time. Tristana, even with press the attack, has a couple of moments early, but otherwise isn't going to be popping off too quickly. And we remain skeptical that Jin can actually stay competitive in the game till their Corki and Tristana have 3 items.
They're going to need to sit back and not lose too much. Playing a lot of Corki and playing a lot of against Yasuo Gragas, it can be hard to dodge that Cask with the Valkyrie, even if you're really quick. Just the radius of that Cask will catch you, and that means that the Yasuo will be on top of you. Not the easiest to spec into a bunch of armor as well on the Corki, who could get a Hex Drinker if it's up against magic damage, but not the case when you're going up against Yasuo.
And there's just no way to disengage Gragas Yasuo. Even if you have a couple of picks to think about it, you might get there, but it's tricky when you have no picks to think about it because it's the second round of picks together. It's becoming kind of a feared duo if you can shield the info. Early Gragas, early Yasuo, you're like, okay, this could happen. But when it's a late second round duo, I'm liking that on the blue side. It's a way to warp a draft because you have one pick to work out a pretty huge disengage problem. Like, do you just take a Bard and try to self-ult? Like, there's not a lot of interactivity about it, so I see a pretty squishy duo of DPS threats, and then Gragas Yasuo, and you worry for Jin Green Wings because the Glad Plane might be grounded once again.
See if they can make it work here, jumping into match 69 of LCK Spring. Let's do it. Wow.
Jin fans, I was looking over, it's not parity with the Kingzone fans, but it's not that far away from parity. There's a lot of Jin fans in the audience today, and Kingzone as a squad, I feel like they're still a team that's ripe for a giant killing. They're still a team that may be up the top 5, but could lose to one of the lower place teams. And the fact that they play against all 4 bottom teams in the near future is a pretty relevant thing. Root actually started his Q just to be able to clear the ward and didn't. Pretty awkward, actually, that he went for that because the ability doesn't provide too much. Looking in on the rune choice here, and Rascal has been talking to Pawn too much and has decided that Klepto Mages are a thing. If you guys are wondering what that reference is, Pawn still plays Klepto LeBlanc even after Frostmancy is gone. And it is against a melee champion, so you understand the thought process behind it. Second pick onto this top lane, Lissandra. This is the sort of lane that Seas might be able to punish. Glacial Path in the top lane ain't the same as in the short mid lane.
I mean, part of the reason why Lissandra is so safe is because you can take Aftershock and proc it super reliably, right? Especially up against a guy who's gonna want to just full-on engage you like an Aatrox, you know? So to just forego that is immense greed for sure. We'll see if it pays off in terms of actual gold, and hope he can actually, you know, dodge some of these deaths in this game.
And I love that you mentioned that instant trade win button that is pressing W and getting Aftershock. Remember again, it's in a long lane. It's top lane where you're much more likely to be chased through a Glacial Path. So not having those stats will be the immediate burst trade, but also the chase. And if the chase is on, you do worry a little bit for Rascal. And Seas is popping off. He's really aggressive in his pathing, but it seems like he's going to relent for now.
Yeah, you see the pings that go on into that red buff as well. They think that Xin Zhao is in there as for right now, as he did go over a ward, but they don't know exactly where he is. I like this. LCK total for Cuz, 10-2 with a 9 KDA on the Gragas, making it work as one of his best picks here in Korea.
It's why I noted him as a kind of Gragas aficionado, something that works with the Yasuo, but something he's stuck to. These LCK totals, I'm pretty sure are wrong, but I guess they might be. It might have been a Kesper Cup match, but I know that he's lost on Yasuo because it was notable I brought it up. Maybe it was Kesper Cup and that's just LCK. Unfortunately, our stats team can be very selective in finding really beautiful ways to package information. I'll confirm on the LCK numbers, but he has lost in Korea on this pick in recent memory.
Yeah, it does come to my mind as well. I don't think he can be undefeated 7-0. Feels like he's played a lot more Yasuo as well, so kind of an interesting one there.
Okay, so it's 7-0, just LCK, but the Kesper Cup game, of course, was the last one. We just left that one out because it doesn't fit our narrative.
Yeah. Well, that's not fair, but Pawn will get away with it thanks to the stats team.
We're also ignoring 2 years on EDG, but
yeah. As, oh boy, Root, wrong time to try to face tech the brush as the Ignite comes in. The last bullet to the head as down goes to Tristana. First blood goes to death.
Nicely done there. The coordination happens. We saw C's set up for a gank that didn't happen. Gank happens around Cuz and C's himself. It's around top side. Put down, goes to Poro there, I believe. Just navigating around. There's a red goes Poro. Sees himself around Pawn. And no, that is actually a blue goes to Poro. So I believe that's information to the side of King Zone. It can be very hard to check. There's a red ward down, but it is a blue goes to Poro as far as I know.
In the pixel brush in the top river, yes.
Correct.
As Cuz snuck on in. Not much analysis about that. He was going to place the ward. It was the wrong timing. Cuz was already there. And he met his maker.
Who made Tristana? Do we know anything about Tristana's parentage?
I don't follow the lore. I didn't think he'd be one of those guys. But as you can see, if you're Lissandra and you don't have Aftershock, people actually do damage to you. Who would have thought?
And actually, Aatrox has the double whammy of also having healing reduction for the ultimate. So that's not even a Aftershock-esque move. Interesting. That's going to be an evolving problem. It's going to be a squishy build start. It feels like you don't have the liberty to just go into Protobelt as bot lane.
Okay, we're flashing on into this one. The Ignite comes in, and okay. Trading one back are Root and Nova. Getting on in there as Def was not able to escape the taunt.
A 2v2 kill, press the attack all in, and Def doesn't respect it enough. Even with Summon AO, that's not teleport or cleanse. He had the heal.
He had a cold too. He's not messing around, Root. He's angry.
That's a huge moment for Root and Nova. You plug and play Deft and Tucson in any sort of Lucian lane, especially against a team like Jin Air, in a huge advantage. Instead, we watched the replay. Just went for the all-in, and Deft wasn't respecting the flash just as the taunt was about to time out. Damage calculation is good, and we can see why Tristana is getting a lot of respect in Korea. Evolves into being a strong champion, and in lane, if you can get the press the attack going, Galio does plenty of early trade damage, and suddenly Deft has things to think about.
Always have to be wary of the damage that Tristana. That's a very NA pronunciation. Tristana.
That sounds like someone who's a really big fan of
here
Tristana.
Rascal, I mean, doesn't have Aftershock, gonna lose his whole health bar. At least he's got Corrupting Pot, I suppose.
And he got some Klepto procs, the 5 gold there.
There you
also
go.
Something to think about. But yeah, it does sound like you're saying Trist-Stanner, someone who stands Tristana. I appreciate it.
Tristanner.
That could be a thing. I don't know.
Does a lot of damage, you have to remember. Has been out of the meta for quite a while. You always remember those Tristana Alistar lanes that used to be very prominent in the bottom lane and just pack ignites and just go all in level 2.
Cuz is packing level 6 and C's is not, so this could actually be big.
Yeah, smites it away. Will he go for the kill? Absolutely. Cass comes in. Gonna be happy to trade that for the flash on the Xin Zhao.
Yeah, getting bonus things is Cuz. Cuz has actually been the life beat of Kingzone on this Gragas, so
it's coming back.
It's certainly working in a big way. Something better than Score.
Yes, his flash too. C's is so dead right now. There's no way for him to get away from that one. How about an extra 70 gold as well on his way out?
And that's about a ward placed earlier. If a ward was placed over the wall, no way C's would grieve for his Krugs, but you never want to give up Krugs. There's so much experience in gold. Laden into that camp. The old ward is a good one. I assume that was placed by Rascal, and it translates into a kill for KingZone.
Maybe our observers can do the next level and give us the replay of who put down that ward.
Sadly, it's not a VOD review, otherwise I'd zoom it back and work out who did it. Who should get the credit.
Don't you have that power?
To be fair, the SpoTV observers, who are the observers who came over to Riot Games, were the ones who found that famous ward last year. Remember that game we were casting where a ward won them the game?
Yeah.
And we had the sleuthing done. Hopefully Sherlock Holmes SpoTV observers are on the case here now at Riot Games.
Just gotta think about the timing of when the ward was placed. You know, rewind and see who put it down.
I feel like wards are, what, like 80 seconds this early into the game? I know they got nerfed a few times. They're pretty short.
It's changed a bunch of times, and trinkets and old wards and stuff. I can't even remember at this point.
Riot actually kind of rescued the word trinket for me, because you know how there's some names that just feel like that only old people have that name? For example, Agatha and Bertha.
Yeah.
It feels like trinket was just a word you use for a gadget that, you know, no one says anymore. Trinkets. I have a lot of trinkets in my house.
Well, you didn't play World of Warcraft.
I didn't play World of Warcraft, so maybe the cool kids were saying it. But in my world, that didn't happen. And now it's said multiple times every game. So trinkets are back. Reclaimed by Riot Games and I guess Blizzard.
Yeah. You know, been in my vocabulary for a long time. There were items that you could put on your character, as Nova is going to dash in the face of danger, and he should be scared as 3 people are going to easily take him out. And that should be the free Ocean Drake as well. Or not Ocean, Cloud, going over to the side of KingZone.
It just feels like 9 people are running around the Rift, and Cuz is ahead of everyone. He's the 200 IQ player here. Everywhere he has gone, he's had the Midas touch. Things have turned to gold. 100% kill participation, only 3 of them, but just visibly watching him chase people out, blow flashes, everything has come together for Cuz, and maybe someone other than Deft is going to pile on a respect ban when you play KingZone DragonX.
And you think about Pawn, who has that 7-0 win rate on the Yasuo, at least in LCK, and with how good Gragas is for Cuz, why not, you know? Just go ahead and play Yasuo every single time alongside of that Gragas jungle. It's found to do a lot of success in the past, and they found a way to get it here in this pick ban.
So no vision of Cuz to play starts. So Nova just went for Seek Hero, Kill Hero, but I want to talk about what the river looked like. They had no information of anything anywhere. Yeah. They knew literally nothing, and he went all in with the Justice Punch. I think if you can just taunt someone in melee range, it's fine. He had his flash open, I believe, and of course would have had Justice Punch to flash Justice Punch. To just zoom in there is a next level disrespect. Maybe you can pull that off in a scrim, but I think that was pretty poor from Nova. That's the sort of thing where, you know, as the Jin coaching staff, you never really had the biggest amount of options because, of course, you had a lot of losses to look at. That's a play where you're like, no, like that's actually not all right. That's the sort of play that should get you subbed out. If Coach Papa was in the booth.
Oh boy, here we go once again. They make it look so easy, as even a Tristana with flash doesn't flash on time. It doesn't respect the engage from Tucson, and another mistake means a kill goes the way of KingZone.
And Coach Papa would note there that Root and Nova were disconnected. Root was out clearing wards when that happened, so the duo lane there as a duo rather than any individuals has to be called into question. Lack of synergy being shown, and that was after a really nice 2v2 kill earlier.
That's what you call inconsistency. You know, they have the mechanics, they have the ability, but sometimes the decision-making is not quite there.
I call it bad, actually, Valdez. I call it bad. I don't call it.
Well, it's bad. It's bad sometimes and good sometimes. That's inconsistency.
I know. But inconsistency, of course, has the whole, like, the vision of the good stuff and the bad stuff. But unfortunately, well, I'm just going to zoom in on bad.
Yeah, they lean to the bad side for sure. And sometimes they pull off good things.
I'm just being glass half empty for a moment, all right? You can be glass half full. It's a broadcast.
That's usually the way it goes there, yeah.
But the glass half full of this point is that Pawn has to just chill and get 320 gold instantly. Pawn himself going to be working towards his first seal item. And now, if Cuz shows up, he's got Sorcerer's Shoes, so the penetration is starting, and Yasuo will have plenty behind that. So already, we already mentioned in pick ban. Let's go back to before there were individual mistakes. Jin Air have a hard drop to pull off because of W8D carry and Corki taking a lot of time. And now the easier drop to pull off with the Gragas Yasuo press R and it kind of works out situation is ahead in gold. Now we really need to see Jin Air find a way to extend the game, because as things stand right now, any 2v2, any 3v3 is going to go the way of Kingzone.
Dead slowed, doesn't flash.
It was a nice taunt flash. Like, yes, you
Sure,
could
but
have
you
flashed
gotta respect
there.
that, you know?
Agreed. If you're flashing every threatened taunt flash, then things get tricky. So, again, Root could have got out there, and I think it's fine to be results-orientated. But against Gragas and Shen, with their ability to extend at the last moment, even Jarvan, I can't always fully criticize, because if you flash every time, it's actually wrong. If you don't flash every time, it's also wrong.
Grace, the one shining light so far on this Jin Air team, steals the Rift Scuttler and is going even with the Yasuo in the mid lane. So props to him, showing that he doesn't only play the Syndra and is finding success on other champs.
And Linderong has also been emboldened to go pretty aggressive build. Youmu's not seen so much on Aatrox in Korea, but will be rushed in this game with the Merc Treads because he knows he's doing damage and lethality feels good. The reason you don't go Youmu's usually is because you have to deal with all the flat armor and MR that Aftershock provides. No flat armor and MR means happy to go the penetration route as 640 gold and plates compared to 0. That's a nice advantage.
Cuz just shows his face, and Grace has to respect that, so he backs away. Mid-turret already going the way here, trying to bait this one in as Nova is disengaging.
Who's coming?
Here.
It's your boys.
Yeah, they're both on top of each other. I thought it was only Yasuo, actually. Everybody's getting on in here. The taunt in the bottom side. Z's is going to go down. There's that cast. No follow-up, as Last Breath is already going to be used here. And the follow-up here from Jin Air is going to push Kingzone away, so that at the end they only get that one kill on Xinjiang.
If we're always going to praise the big plays with your R buttons on Yasuo Gragas, that one was actually super disconnected from the side of Kingzone. It was a body slam opening to save the ultimate, but Yasuo took the ult on one person, so when you hold on to the cast to use it for CC, there was no Yasuo, so it was actually no threat when the Gragas ult went out, so they should have held on to Last Breath till after they saw some flashes, then launched up with the cast, but instead they spam the R button, it doesn't work, and Kingzone only really exit with the Mountain Drake.
Get the one kill as the dive comes in here with the help of everybody else.
But if you watch this, it's just body slam flash onto one. They get it onto the Gragas, and the cask is held onto. That cask could have been cast into Yasuo ult on Root, and given that Root lived on 300 health, he would have died. So I think they could have played that differently. But they're able to zoom in. Like you mentioned, they did get the Xinjiang kill throughout all of it, and got the Mountain Drake to begin. But that could have been Yasuo kill involvement that for now is 0-0-0.
Yeah, you know, he uses it on the one tank that had an Aftershock. I mean, he's not really a tank. He is the support Galio, but very tanky with that rune. So obviously not going to be able to output enough damage to get that kill. Nova even keeps his flash after that one, so wasn't scared in the least.
Back in my day, a support couldn't have 70-70 resists and 500 health at bonus health at 16 minutes, so tank support was what we called it when they didn't have any items. Now they have Aftershock and the health, so yeah, you get to be tanks on a budget, and Galio has damage reduction as well. And tanky enough to shrug off just the critical strike being completed so far from the Yasuo.
These possibilities and more brought to you by Aftershock here in 2018.
Did they sponsor us for a whole week? Have we worked out how long their sponsorship is for?
I'm just, you know, showing off, so maybe some other sponsors can come in here.
If you could choose one sponsor for the LCK, who would you choose? Like, what's the brand you really want? It could be just pure greed, like I love that drink, or some cool synergy you're seeing.
I'm trying to think about that. I really like bread and pizza.
Okay, I mean pizza sponsorship.
Maybe like a pizza sponsorship.
Which
I
one?
like that.
Give us.
I'm not a huge fan of, you know, the chains and stuff.
Okay, I mean,
I'm one of those, you know, I'm an elitist
you can't
from
be
New York
hipster
City,
and
right?
ask for a sponsor, then you don't get anything out of it. They don't have the money, Valdez. You're really bad at this brand thing.
Can't we just get a local pizzeria from New York City to sponsor the stream? Doesn't that mean something?
No.
We get good pizza, right? I mean, that's something.
We had BBQ Oliver's. That was perfect.
That was good, for sure.
You couldn't come up with one pizza brand you can tolerate?
They all suck. All the chains are bad.
Spoken by Valdez. He is a real pizza hipster. I didn't know this, actually. I didn't know that you're... That's a pretty big hater statement, that none of the chains hold any value.
I'm trying to think of, like, what is the best one. I don't know, maybe Pizza Hut? But that's not even real pizza. That's like, I don't know,
Hey,
some kind of
we might
abomination.
be sponsored. Don't say that out loud.
That's true, actually. That, you know, somebody's going to play that clip when we're casting for the 2021 Pizza Hut LCK.
Don't forget, Valdez, you and I are content creators now, so I know who's getting the call from Pizza Hut and who's not. Your stream ain't going to be presented by Pizza Hut anytime soon.
Or any of them, by the way, because I don't want any of them, Papa.
Wow.
I would rather have some
You're
other
popping off, apparently.
sponsor. Just none of those pizza chains. I'm okay with pretty much anything else. I like peanut butter, too. You get a Skippy sponsorship. That sounds good.
I forget who the peanut butter brand is in Australia. We don't have Skippy.
Skippy is actually, it has a lot of sugar. It's not very natural.
I think we might have, does Kraft do peanut butter? I think we have Kraft in Australia.
Kraft does macaroni and cheese.
Yes, they do a lot of things.
Okay.
Well, guys, nothing's really happening in the game apart from Kingzone kind of boringly extending their lead. Don't worry, we'll curb the food talk when people look like dying. But for now, no dying. Just life.
Just life. He's not in this game, not playing today.
Sadly, I like watching life. He's, of the rookies that have come in this year, he's like the rookie where you're like, you're not the finished article, but you're really good at engaging.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
He's got potential, you know, you could see that he's a solid player. Going back to that word again, he is not inconsistent. He's quite consistent, actually, I would say, as one of the rookies, which can be hard if you're a new player.
And he's also willing to go in. And that's not always interesting. As a new player, when you got Ruler and Cuvée and Fly and Peanut, right, brands. And extended names, being the one who often has to all in on Gragas is not easy. So, shout out to Life. We've been enjoying watching him play. Feels like an honest rookie compared to the dishonest rookies on Griffin, where it was like, how are you guys all top of the table? Like, what's going on here? Whereas with Life, you're like, oh, you made a mistake. That makes sense.
Who's that new rookie on Griffin? Kanavi?
Kanavi.
Yeah.
And Cabby.
I'm looking forward to him playing. A lot of talk about him. But, you know, it's kind of hard when you have that roster ahead of you. He's a jungler, right?
Kanavi's the jungler, Cabby's the support.
Yeah.
And then Sennen is the Afrika support that looked pretty good. I forget his name. I get that mixed up with Kanavi and Cabby.
Yeah, you're right, Sennen.
Sennen looked pretty good as well. Those are the rookies that I think are coming up, and there's more obvious ones than some of the other rosters, but a time to think of other things there. So what about me? What sponsor do I want? I feel like there's some really great sponsorship opportunities. LEC doing a really good job finding a lot of different sponsorships. Yeah. My favorite is the fact that they have a blood bank that sponsors First Blood. Like, how awesome is really the synergy there?
Yeah.
Because normally you think, all right, how are we going to fit in the blood bank? But actually we have a thing we talk about every game that has amazing synergy there. So it sounded like we had a listen in there, but that was just, I believe, Yasuo chatting for a second there.
You know he speaks a made-up language. You see that on Reddit?
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I didn't read the post, but I saw the title. It was like, Yasuo speaks a made-up language.
Interesting.
So I guess Hasaki is not a real word.
Does Gnar speak Pokemon? Because he kind of says Gnar a lot.
Yeah.
And some other kind of...
Kind of how I imagine Beryl speaks to himself.
I'm the same. Beryl's a Pokemon name.
He is, yeah.
Who else?
Or a medicine, as I think you were pointing that out, right? You apply some Beryl to the ankle. And
it's definitely an ointment, right? It's an ointment.
Yeah,
it's not a medicine. Oh, fighting? Maybe?
He's got Aftershock, but it doesn't seem to help him out this time, as you can see that C's just left his teammate all alone, and he was dead, 100%.
Was that fighting, or was that just bullying? It seemed more like bullying. They just kind of hit someone. It was a pinata situation.
Yeah.
The Galio pinata was exploded. Gold was given. Not enough gold. They want to go find some other pinatas. Kingzone's onto the Baron, and Jin Air, they haven't explored this territory in a while. They're going to lead with their faces, and for now, no one's jumping over the wall.
Seeing the whole way as they do come in. Just going to ult seize here before that Tristana ultimate can come in. And how about the damage from Gragas too? Pawn also trying to go 1v2 up in the top side. As Jin Air is going to get away, but Kingzone get away with the Baron.
That was some really good goaltending as well. There was no chance of a Baron steal there for Jin Air. So while it looked bold, if you look at the minimap, the actual action was well done from the side of Kingzone. Det somehow has 4 kills, even though I remember him dying earlier in the game. So he's been the one picking up the kills that we've been ignoring. Watch the replay here, and you think about how could this have been stolen, and then suddenly stun onto Seize, back onto Seize again, and the Gragas Yasuo combo gets damage and threat onto the other people, so there was never going to be a Baron steal here. Well played by Kingzone DragonX.
So, cuz he got the assist on the Galio kill before the Baron, bought his Dark Seal right before that. He only got the 1 stack. He just went back and finished his Medai's after the Baron. Not wasting any time with that one.
That might be the most Mana Medjai's moment I've seen in years.
Yeah.
If you have the 4 or 5 stacks, you can spend the gold, but he spends 1050 gold on Medjai's, which gives him precisely nothing just because he's playing against Jin Air, and in his mind, he's already won.
Hey, you get double stacks, right? You need to build it up
He
sooner.
got 2 AP for 1,000 gold! And I guess the 20 AP from the item, but...
well. Here's Linderong, okay, trying to go for a flank here. Everything's going to miss, kind of, as Linderong is going to get bopped on the backside. Sees, disappears with the cask, and see you later, Grace, too. Extremely one-sided, more stacks going to go the way of Cuz's Medjai's, as Jin Air cannot stop the onslaught.
And stacks upon stacks of threat towards Jin Air has made them pretty unable to ever get a foothold in this game. The Mana Medjai is somehow more disrespectful to Jin Air than us talking about pizza for half the broadcast. Kingzone back away. Able to get over the wall there, interestingly. And from there, they can walk over, they can regroup, they can get more gold, and the gold lead is already over 10,000. Even the observers showing it, being like, really?
Yeah, 7 stacks now.
Do you reckon that's the head observer, our good friend? I actually don't know what his broadcast name would be. Jonah Strong, let's call him that.
Jonah Strong.
We'll throw that out there.
Call him Jonah, I guess. We can make that his English name.
How about his English name is call him Jonah?
Call him Jonah?
Yeah.
Okay. Call him Jonah.
We see Linderong on a big flank, and look, they definitely have something that from ahead is a nice proactive initiation duo. And in another game, you see Corki and Tristana doing damage behind this initiation. Instead, Cuz says, well, now your front line's flanking, so just turns on the rest of the members. He's styling, he went golden, he's feeling golden, but will he get more than 10 stacks? Odds are yes.
He got the 1 kill and 1 assist, which builds up 6 more. That would have only been 3 stacks with the Dark Seal, so I see where he's coming from with that purchase.
Yeah, but he could have had like an Oblivion Orb and done way more damage.
That doesn't look nearly as cool.
He's all about looks here. Cuz is definitely just skin deep for this particular game, number 1. And, you know, you want to point out that he's doing something wrong, but given how the game is going, it's hard to say too much. We're getting the zoom out here. Kingzone loading up.
Oh boy, Tornado hits here, and the cast does insane damage as Seize doesn't exist in this game. Yasuo killed the Tristana too. Somehow in the backline there, guess it was the Ignite that eventually took away the rest of Jin Air. A half-hearted clap from the crowd as looks like Kingzone should be able to pick this one up.
Cuz wants the stacks, not going to get it onto the Corki, but you're right, around 27 minutes, 12-1. Those are probably the odds that Jin Air would win the series, and they seem well-founded.
Oh, they're going to go for the kill as Grace will go down, but 3 members are going to bite the dust. Worth it for sure.
And you notice the most important thing about that dive. Gragas with Medjai says, nah, I'm good. I'm going to kill the game. He's not going to give up his stacks, stacks upon stacks, and everyone with a bit of an amused smirk onto the faces of Kingzone DragonX. They're feeling good about it, and unfortunately for Jin Air, some of those old feelings of series that don't include the Afrika one are coming back to memory.
That was definitely a game where a lot went wrong outside of one moment And they got too far behind and essentially just said, well, we can't win this one. We're too far behind. We have a comp that needs to scale and get decently ahead or far enough into the game where they actually begin to do damage. They didn't even get close. So we saw Linderong packing up his, well, I just heard a very interesting thing. I don't know if we should spoil that. What do you think about that, Papa? Okay.
There is going to be a very interesting development after the break, is what we were told. We won't give you any more specifics, but Jin Green Wings, if I'm the coach, again, Coach Papa came out a couple of times there. I look at the bot lane and I'm like, something has to change here, so I think for sure you make a substitution there. Around that, it just all kind of was too inevitable. That's the part is that you don't want to accept as a coach is we saw Cuz get ahead and contest C's and also the bot lane fall behind. And you're like, they're not going to win this, are they? And the answer very quickly was yes, and the Mana Medjais comes out. They just got into a funk, and that's one of those funks that ruins your day. At 7 a.m., they found out some bad news, and unfortunately for Jin Air, things weren't working, and that's a lot of backpacks that are being filled up.
Yeah. Spoiler alert, anyone? As definitely getting some information about what could be happening for the next game here. And honestly, I don't blame Jin Air. I'm kind of surprised it took this long, actually, to just go ahead and just wipe the slate clean and see what happens the next time around.
We're hoping the clean slate brings less chance for Mana Medjais and styling, but by the end we were styling as Kingzone DragonX. They just wanted 2-0 to keep that route forward. And remember, clean records are important when everyone's around the same clump. Damwon and Humwa Life want to see Jin Air pick up even a single victory, as Valdez wants to see more than a single number in that column next to Xin Zhao. 1,300 gold. I feel like Gragas did more damage to Xin Zhao.
Gold?
Yes, damage dealt. I think Gragas did more damage to Xin Zhao than Xin Zhao did to the entire enemy team.
Oh, yes, definitely. Maybe 2 or 3 times over. I mean, because the jungle difference in that game was mind-blowing, right? That was actually kind of sad.
My team's Xin Zhao.
Definitely. Kind of looked like Griffin's one as well the other day. I kind of just sat back and did nothing. So, guys, we're going to take a quick commercial break before we do get to game number 2. Join us for the fiesta that will come next.